I'm Jean Wall, and I'm a drama specialist with Wolf Trap. Right now, what I'd like to demonstrate is how some simple props can be used in dramatic play to help children understand the concepts of simple machines. Now, they've already learned a little bit about wheels and axles, and today they're going to help Franny Farmer go out and harvest apples using her wagon and her tractor. Well, they've seen the toy wagon and tractor, and they've told me, you know, it's not big enough. So we're going to use our imaginations, and we're going to create a wagon that we can all get into, travel out to the orchard, and harvest the apples with Franny. Now, the first thing I did was I spread out a piece of fabric big enough for all the children to sit down on the floor. I put a chair up on the front of the wagon that's going to be our tractor driver. And so I asked the children, so what do we need to make this wagon move? And they told me wheels and axles. So we're going to build some wheels and axles right now using very simple materials that are easy to find anywhere. This is a piece of PVC pipe that you can get at your hardware store. Very simple to get, not very expensive at all. And I'm going to use some simple parts of PVC that you can also find at a hardware store. I ask the children if this is big enough for our axle, and I show it in scale with the wagon, and they tell me no. So we're going to have to make it bigger. So we're going to use a connector. I can see right through the connector, and I demonstrate that to the children because the connector goes on one side and then the other side of the PVC holding it together. Now we have different types of materials that we're going to use to create our wheels and axle. We're going to use another what? Right, a connector. I'm going to put it on this end because we've got to connect the wheel to the axle. And then on the other end, we have another connector. So now we've got to get our wheel on. Now as I'm demonstrating, the reason I'm demonstrating this like this is because I want the children to understand the different parts. Is this a connector? No. You can tell it's different. It doesn't, you can't see all the way through it. So this is an end piece. I'm going to use this to put the wheel on to my axle, like this, very easy. So we have another wheel, so we're going to need another end piece to connect it. Usually I build this right on the floor for them. It goes in like this and like that. Because I want the children to be able later on to work in teams and be able to create their own wheels and axles and to take them apart. Now I'm going to put this up front here on our wagon, and we create another one for the back end of our wagons. So now we're ready to go out on our wagon to harvest with Franny. Oh, and by the way, I hand a steering wheel. It's a paper plate with a straw through it to the driver. Now that could be a child or it could be the teaching aide. And they're going to be the driver of the wagon, and guess what? I show them the paper plate with the straw, and they say, guess what? We've got another what? Wheel and axle. They're all over the place, wheels and axles. They help us in many ways. So we have our driver, we have the children sitting in our wagon, we bump, 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 bump out to the orchard, and there we harvest apples in their imaginary apple baskets. But Franny has her own real apple basket. The children come back, they bump, bump up and sing Wheel and Axle song. A song, actually it's Wheels on the Bus, but wheels and axle go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels and axle go round and round, all around the farm. That's their traveling song. When we get back to the barnyard, guess what? I'm going to introduce another simple machine, probably the simple. It's called a ramp or an inclined plane. Now we're going to use this ramp or inclined plane to help us with another job. And I explained that a plane is any flat surface, and I explained that an incline means that one end is higher than the other. So I'm going to put my inclined plane on the back axle of my wagon. Now how are we going to use this? Well, I asked the children, are our apple baskets heavier or lighter now that we have them full of apples? They tell me much heavier. So we're going to use the inclined plane to help us move our apple baskets, our heavy apple baskets, easily off the wagon. Because instead of lifting them all off, we're going to use the inclined plane and let the apple basket slide down. Now each child gets to slide the basket down the inclined plane and use that language, inclined plane. And then they leave the wagon and go sit back in the circle. So we say inclined plane and woo, down the apple basket goes, easily removing it from the wagon, doing another job very easily using simple machines.